Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in News Hour. Lok Sabha opens debate on motion of thanks. President Murmu's address on January 28 stressed social justice, inclusive growth and vision for Viksit Bharat. Violence escalates in Balochistan as security crackdown intensifies across the restive Pakistani province. Zelenskyy announces rescheduled trilateral talks with Russia and the US after Putin envoy meets US officials in Florida. ICC slams Pakistan's forfeit of a T20 World Cup match against India. The Lok Sabha, that is the lower house of India's parliament, commenced discussion on the motion of thanks to the President Draupadi Murmu's address to the joint sitting of Parliament during the ongoing budget session 2026. Union Minister and BJP MP Sarbananda Sonowal moved the motion, expressing gratitude for the President's outline of the government's priorities, while the BJP MP Tejasvi Surya seconded it. The House allocated 18 hours for the debate, allowing MPs from various parties to participate. Opposition leaders, including Rahul Gandhi and other members, also spoke at the session on Monday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will reply to the debate on the 4th of February. The session follows the Union budget presentation on Sunday, the 1st of February. The Rajya Sabha, or the upper house of Indian Parliament, was adjourned till 2 p.m. In a major push for tech-driven agriculture, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she announced the launch of Bharat Vistar in the budget. The budget emphasized high-value agriculture, allied sectors and technology-led farming. DD India's Tanvi Taneja reports.
In the words of M.S. Swaminathan, the father of India's Green Revolution, if agriculture goes wrong, nothing else will have a chance to go right. The Union Budget 2026-27 emphasized high-value agriculture, allied sectors and technology-led farming. High-value agriculture will get a boost for promoting high-value crops like that of coconut, sandalwood, cocoa and cashew in the coastal areas, agar trees in the northeast, and nuts like walnuts and almonds in the hilly regions. The Finance Minister announced coconut promotion scheme to boost productivity. Special support would be given for sandalwood cultivation via partnerships with state governments to promote scientific farming and post-harvest processing. The Finance Minister also announced credit-linked subsidy programs for supporting animal husbandry so as to promote entrepreneurship, modernize livestock enterprises and scale up integrated value chains in the dairy, poultry and livestock sectors. To strengthen the fisheries value chain, the government will launch initiatives for integrated development of 500 reservoirs and other water bodies. These aim to strengthen the fisheries value chain in coastal areas.
There's been a lot of focus on agriculture, high value-added agriculture. You heard about focus on coconuts. The potential on coconut is a very, very large opportunity that India is presented with. High-value crops like cocoa. I think these are all areas which will move us from a low-value agriculture to a high-value agriculture. Value addition is another big area they've looked at. I'm also very impressed with the focus on the fish producer, farmer producer. The impetus they are giving on cultivation of fish through women-led farmer producer organization is very important.
Sitharaman also announced the launch of Self-Help Entrepreneurs or She-Marts, a new initiative for rural women-led enterprises run by self-help entrepreneurs and owned by the community. In a major push for tech-driven agriculture, Finance Minister Sitharaman announced the launch of Bharat Vistar, a multilingual AI tool set to integrate AgriStack portals and ICAR's agricultural practices with advanced AI systems, transforming how farmers access resources and make better decisions. All these initiatives target the 46% Indian workforce reliant on agriculture, marking a significant leap in precision farming, especially of indigenous dry fruits.
I think the government has announced some very good measures to boost the domestic production, processing and marketing of indigenous dry fruits. There have been specific instances and mentions of the walnut supply chain, the almond supply chain and the cashew supply chain. I think these steps will go a long way. Number one, in ensuring that the Indian indigenous farmers benefit a lot versus importing so much of dry fruit. Number two, we will save a lot of foreign exchequer by avoiding import of so much of dry fruits. We already know we import more than $4 billion worth of dry fruit.
The overall aim is to strengthen rural ecosystems, enhance farm productivity, and encourage rural women-led enterprises to align with the larger goal of making India developed by 2047. Tanvi Taneja for DD India.
The Union Budget has placed strong emphasis on building next-generation infrastructure with a major push for high-speed connectivity across the country. This year's budget is in line with free trade agreement that India has signed with the European Union. And this is what the former Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Singla had to say. He spoke to Vishal Barristow.
The budget is out, and I have with me the former Secretary of Foreign Affairs and also MP from BJP, Mr. Harsh Shingla. Let's talk to him and find out. Sir, how would you define this budget and what are the highlights of the budget?
No, I think it's a very relevant budget for our current situation. Government has already undertaken a number of reforms, financial sector reforms, capital market reforms, labor reforms. It's a very imaginative budget. If you look at the fact, I mean, what for someone like me, I was very inspired by the 7 high-speed rail corridors. These link important economic centers of our country. We have to remember that almost 50% of our population today lives in urban areas. It's important to ensure that their commute is smooth, is efficient. That increases the efficiency of our economy. And clubbed to that is the concept of freight corridors. That is also being given a boost. So take one example relevant to me. I am from Darjeeling Siliguri area. There is a freight corridor that is linking Delhi to Varanasi and Varanasi to Siliguri. So 2 high-speed corridors which will really enable people like me to travel from Delhi to Siliguri in record time. You know, what might have taken me 3 days will now take me just 12 hours or something to travel from Delhi to Siliguri.
In light of what India has signed with EU, an agreement, a free trade agreement, how do you find this budget?
Yeah, it is in keeping with that. You see, I mean, there is a lot of encouragement for sectors like the marine seafood sector. 3% of all your exports can be imported in terms of the equipment that you need to develop that sector. Similarly, for leather, textiles, the creation of mega textile parks, 3 sort of chemical parks. These are signs that government is not only encouraging the development of capacity, but developing capacities that we can use to re-export. And India should become the medical tourism hub of the world. And these policies will enable it to become, that sort of, I would say, hub.
So there you heard Mr. Harsh Shingla. He is very much appreciative of the budget, and he says that it's a visionary budget and it is in the backdrop of the recent agreement that India has signed with the EU. This is Vishal Barristow for DD India.
And addressing a press conference on Monday, the Chief Minister of Delhi, Rekha Gupta, said that the union budget is inclusive and forward-looking, designed to uplift the poor, empower women, and also to create opportunities for the youth.
ये जो पूरा बजट है, ये देश के हर वर्ग को भरोसा देता है, गरीबों को सहारा देता है, देने वाला बजट है ये, युवाओं को मौका देने वाला, महिलाओं को सम्मान और ताकत देने वाला, और देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को आगे बढ़ाने और एक साफ रोड मैप दिखाने वाला ये पूरा बजट है। दिल्ली सरकार लगातार केंद्र के साथ मिल करके एक विज़न, जो विज़न 2047 है, विकसित भारत, विकसित दिल्ली, हम उस पर काम कर रहे हैं.
And Indian businesses and professional council in Dubai, they together with the Taxation Society and the India Club, they've hosted a dialogue to assess the budget's impact on UAE-based Indian enterprises and investors. So participants described it as a growth-oriented roadmap with significant implications for cross-border trade and investment between India and the UAE. Let's listen.
Announcement of Union Budget 2026-27, which is a milestone in the journey of Viksit Bharat. The growth rate, what we are seeing, 7.5% for this financial year. Hopefully, it will not be just continued, it will be greater than that. The announcement regards to agriculture, announcements regard to MSMEs, announcements about the custom baggage allowances are very particular at this moment. And I'm sure that this budget is going to change. It is a game changer for the economy.
Moving on to other news, World Wetlands Day is being celebrated to recognize and raise awareness about some of the planet's most vital ecosystems, our freshwater and coastal wetlands. So India's Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav will attend the celebrations at the Asola Bhatti Wildlife Sanctuary as the chief guest. So this theme is wetlands and traditional knowledge, celebrating cultural heritage. The minister will felicitate the states for their declaration of new Ramsar sites and also undertake a plantation drive under Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam. On World Wetlands Day, India strengthens conservation efforts with 2 new Ramsar sites, taking the country's total now to 98 wetlands of international importance. Tapas Bhattacharya has the details.
On World Wetlands Day, India reaffirms its commitment to protecting nature's lifelines. Wetlands play a crucial role in conserving biodiversity, supporting livelihoods, and combating climate change. Adding momentum to these efforts, India has designated 2 new Ramsar sites: Patna Bird Sanctuary in Itaha, Uttar Pradesh, a haven for migratory birds, and Chhatri Dhan in Kutch, Gujarat, a vital wetland supporting rich avian and marine life. With these additions, India's Ramsar network now stands at 98 wetlands of international importance, marking a remarkable growth of over 276% since 2014. As the world celebrates World Wetlands Day, India's expanding Ramsar's footprint highlights the strong push towards conservation, sustainability, and ecological balance. Tapush Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
Well, still to come here on DD India News Hour. Trump is hopeful of an Iran deal amid Supreme Leader's warning of regional conflict. Rafah crossing reopens under U.S. truce plan. Limited passage allowed.
Can the U.S. launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
Remember to save your.
We read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, Pakistan's Balochistan province continues to see a surge in violence and brutal crackdown by the security forces. Authorities are battling one of the deadliest flare-ups in years as insurgents in the resource-rich province have stepped up their assaults on security forces, civilians and infrastructure. Recent fighting has left many casualties on both sides. In Quetta, the capital of the province of Balochistan, the fierce fighting over the past 2 days has left a deadly trail of destruction and death. The clashes between the Baloch separatists and security forces has left streets littered with burnt cars and vehicles, with security cordons on the roads restricting the flow of traffic. The Baloch Liberation Army claimed responsibility for the attack, saying that it had launched a coordinated operation dubbed Herof, or Black Storm, targeting security forces across the province. Assaults were launched almost simultaneously across Quetta, Gwadar, Mustang, also Noshki. These are the districts there, with armed men opening fire at security installations, including a Frontier Corps headquarters, attempting suicide bombings and also briefly blocking roads in the urban areas. A group claimed that it had killed, this group has claimed that it had killed about 84 members of the Pakistani security forces and captured 18 others. The Chief Minister of Balochistan said that 17 law enforcement personnel were killed in these attacks. Akshay Dongre, our correspondent, is following this story closely. Akshay, to what extent, are the latest BLA attacks a response also to Pakistan's intensified military operations? And does this cycle of insurgency crackdown affect the prospects of any long-term stability in that region?
Well, Mark, as far as the province of Balochistan is concerned, there have been several problematic policies that have been adopted by the Pakistani government over a period of decades. First of all, the infrastructure development of the region has been abysmally lacking, even for the basic infrastructure that is required by the people of Balochistan, that doesn't have schools, that doesn't have proper medical facilities, that region doesn't have proper roads as well, unless the roads are, reaching out to Gwadar port, that is a China-controlled port inside Pakistan, aimed at extracting the resources from the mineral-rich Balochistan and transporting it to the customers, especially in China. The rest of the infrastructure development lacks sorely, and that has been the point of concern and point of conflict between the Baloch people as well and the Pakistani government that has only been interested in taking out the resources of the province and not bettering the life of the people who live there in that particular province. And that has led and historical reasons as well that Baloch people have long argued that they were annexed illegally by the Pakistani government. They were fooled by Jinnah back in 1947 when that region was given false promises. And there has been a consistent freedom struggle that which has been going on in Balochistan for several decades now. So the cycle of violence is only going to continue in the near future as well. Indeed. As far as and the long-term future too, because the basic requirement of the people of Balochistan is not only infrastructure development but also autonomy that has long been denied to the people. Foreign leaders have, especially when we talk about the Pakistani government, leaders from other parts of the country have been given more weightage, they have been given more resources, more funding, and Balochistan has always been starved of the basic requirements that the people face. It is relatively poor area, relatively poor province, as well as quite underdeveloped as far as the people are concerned. That has in fact led to this flare-up of violence with the consistent demand being denied.
Akshay, also, the targeting of infrastructure, and there is after all, the China-Pakistan economic corridor there as well. So how does this affect the geopolitical relationship that Pakistan has with China?
Well, obviously, Pakistan took all of the funds from China, made tall claims about the Gwadar port as well as the rare earth minerals that are from Balochistan, took money in advance by stating that they will guarantee the safety of the Chinese investment in the region. But as we are rightly seeing that they have been abysmally failed to ensure that the foreign funding, the foreign investment and the foreign infrastructure that has been developed of the foreign funds has been targeted because the Baloch people have targeted those, Baloch rebels have targeted those infrastructures because the government of Pakistan has always denied the rights to the Baloch people, but have only been interested in extracting all the minerals from the mineral-rich province. And that perhaps is the reason why even China is losing confidence in Pakistan and Pakistani forces. as far as the security guarantees are concerned, they mean for nothing if these kind of attacks consistently take place, not only against the Pakistani armed forces that are deployed there, but also the Chinese investment. And all the last point that needs to be added here is also the involvement of the Pakistani officials and security forces there in sabotaging many a times the foreign investment, just to take more money, demand for more funds for ensuring their security, in a way blackmailing because of the corruption that persists in the Pakistani forces in that part of the region.
Right, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Akshay Dongre, for those inputs. Updates now on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and the Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, he's confirmed that a new round of peace talks involving Ukraine, Russia and the United States is scheduled for Wednesday this week in the UAE. Zelenskyy, in a social media post, stated the second round of trilateral talks between Russian, Ukrainian and US officials on a US drafted plan will begin on Wednesday instead of Sunday.
Our negotiation team gave a report today. There is already an arrangement to hold a trilateral meeting at an appropriate level. This meeting will take place next week as planned on Wednesday and Thursday in the United Arab Emirates, as last time.
A Ukrainian drone struck a residential building in Stary Oskol, and this is in Russia's Belgorod region, overnight on Monday, sparking a fire and causing partial collapse. Regional Governor Glatskov has reported on Telegram that rescuers recovered the bodies of 2 civilians from the rubble. The attack is part of Ukraine's ongoing cross-border drone campaign targeting Russian territory, often focusing on energy infrastructure in retaliation to Moscow's nearly daily bombardments that have devastated Ukraine's power and heating systems. And this is happening at a time when temperatures are down to minus 20 degrees Celsius. In a related incident on Sunday, a Russian drone hit a bus carrying mine workers in Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region. This killed at least 15 people and also injured others, escalating the counterattacks along the front lines. Updates now on the U.S.-Iran tensions, and the U.S. President Donald Trump, he said on Sunday that he's hopeful, he expects, in fact, the United States will reach a deal with Iran. This is after the country's supreme leader had warned that any American attack is going to trigger a wider regional conflict in the region. So Trump on Saturday, he downplayed these comments after Iran's supreme leader had warned this. He said that there's a potential regional conflict, but he said we have the biggest, most powerful ships in the world over there, very close. The remarks came as the top U.S. and Israeli military officials held a closed-door meeting at the Pentagon on Friday amid growing tensions with Tehran.
We have the biggest, most powerful ships in the world over there, very close. Couple of days, and hopefully we'll make a deal. If we don't make a deal, then we'll find out whether or not he was right.
Meanwhile, the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, has warned the United States that any attack on his country would result in a regional war. Khamenei said that the U.S. wants to devour Iran and its vast oil and natural gas reserves. The former UK ambassador to the US, Peter Mendelsohn, has quit the Labour Party after fresh US documents revived scrutiny over his links to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He has quit the Labour Party after the newly released US Justice Department documents revived scrutiny over his links to Jeffrey Epstein. Mendelsohn said that he was stepping down to avoid causing further embarrassment to the party, while denying any recollection of alleged financial transfers and saying that the claims need investigation. A 5-year-old boy whose detention in the Trump administration's aggressive immigration raids in Minneapolis shocked the world is now back home. The U.S. Representative Joaquin Castro, a Texas Democrat, wrote in a social media post that he picked them up at a detention facility and escorted them back to Minnesota. Earlier, a federal judge ordered the release of Adrian Conejo Arias and his son, whom the immigration officers detained during the Minnesota raid. These are from Ecuador, the Ecuadorian boy and his father, who entered the United States legally as asylum applicants. They had been held in a detention facility in Dilley in Texas. And following the release of Liam Ramos, protesters, they have gathered outside a detention facility. They did so on Sunday as, according to the protester, public pressure led to Liam's release. So the two were actually among 4 students who were detained during the raid earlier this month. Israeli security forces, they have said that the key Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt, it's fully open for entry and exit of residents on Monday after the partial reopening a day earlier. After largely being shut for almost 2 years, only Gaza residents on foot will be allowed to cross. As per reports, Rafah crossing to process 50 people in each direction per day. Before the conflict, Rafah border crossing with Egypt was the only direct exit point for most Gazans to reach the other side or even outside of Gaza, in fact, as well as a key entry point for aid into the territory. The reopening is a key part of the second phase of the U.S. President Donald Trump's truce plan for the Palestinian territory. In Costa Rica, right-wing populist Laura Fernandez has a commanding lead and is nearing victory in the general elections on Sunday. Fernandez has 49.61% of the votes, with 69.40% of the ballots counted. Fernandez's nearest rival, Alvaro Ramos, has 32.56% of the vote, while Claudia Doblez has just 4.58% of the vote. Fernandez now needs at least 40% votes to win the election outright and avoid a runoff on April 5. While the consecutive re-election is not allowed in Costa Rica, Fernandez has vowed to include Chavez in her government and positioned herself as the continuity of his mandate. So the current government holds just 8 seats and has blamed congressional gridlock for blocking its agenda. Snapchat on Monday blocked 415,000 accounts belonging to users between, in fact, who are under the age of 16 in Australia, following the country's social media legislation. And this law, which came into effect on December 10 last year, requires platforms including Snapchat, Meta, TikTok and YouTube to prevent underage users from holding accounts. Companies face fines of up to Australian dollars 49.5 million, that's about 34 million US dollars for non-compliance. Australia's e-safety regulator reported last month that the tech giants had already blocked 4.7 million accounts nationwide, calling the move a significant outcome. In its statement, Snapchat urged authorities to require app stores to verify users' age before allowing downloads, calling it an additional safeguard that would create a centralized verification system and also higher barriers against circumvention. Japan's snap general election, which is scheduled for February 8, has ignited a debate over Prime Minister Sanai Takachi's unilateral power to dissolve the House of Representatives. As Japan's first female premier, Takaichi dissolved parliament on January 23rd, marking the first such move at a Diet session start in decades to seek a stronger mandate for her expansionary fiscal policies, including spending and tax cuts to reflate the economy. But, critics and opposition figures, they argue that this exclusive prerogative lacks constitutional checks and calls for reforms to limit it, especially given the short 12-day campaign and timing just 16 months after the prior vote. And recent polls also show Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party is poised for a landslide, potentially exceeding the 233-seat majority in the 465-seat lower house, amid her approval ratings going higher. Key opposition leaders from the centrist Reform Alliance, Democratic Party for the People, and others focus on livelihoods, cost of living relief, and peace amid the high-stakes race. Well, still to come here on DD India News Hour, we're going to get expert opinion on ICC's warning to Pakistan regarding the T20 World Cup.
Welcome to DD India, where a billion voices unite, connecting viewers to the stories that matter. India is not just another news channel. It's the international channel that puts the spotlight on the global south, bringing you stories from the heart of emerging economies, dynamic cultures, and transformative voices. As the international news channel of India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati, DD India delivers high-quality content from every corner of the globe, focusing on the stories that shape our future. We don't just report news. We connect you to India's voice in the global narrative. From current affairs to culture, from economic growth to sustainable development, and the ever-evolving world order, DD India gives you a comprehensive view of the world around us. Stay connected, stay informed, and embrace the stories that shape our lives. DD India. India's voice to the world.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. The International Cricket Council, the ICC, on Sunday issued a statement strongly objecting to the announcement by the Pakistan government that it would forfeit its T20 World Cup match against India. The ICC noted that Pakistan's government had instructed its national team to selectively participate in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026. The World Cricket Body emphasized that such selective participation is difficult to reconcile with the fundamental premise of a global sporting event, where all teams are expected to compete on equal terms according to the event schedule. The ICC further stated that this decision is not in the interest of the global game. It cautioned that the Pakistan Cricket Board, the PCB, should consider the significant and long-term implications for cricket in its own country, as the move is likely to affect the wider cricket ecosystem. Pakistan is placed with India in Group A. On Sunday, the government announced that the national team would not take the field against India. However, the PCB has not yet issued any official statement on the matter. And the BCCI's Vice President Rajiv Shukla said that the Board of Control of Cricket for India, Board of Control for Cricket in India rather, agrees with the ICC's stance on sportsmanship regarding Pakistan's boycott of their T20 World Cup 2026 group stage match against India, and will comment only after speaking with the ICC.
स्टेटमेंट आया है जिसमें उन्होंने खेल भावना को लेकर कहा है, तो हम पूरी तरह आईसीसी से सहमत हैं, और लेकिन हम बीसीसीआई इस पर भी कोई टिप्पणी नहीं करेगी जब तक आईसीसी से हमारी बातचीत ना हो जाए.
Well, our correspondent Narayan Singh is following the story and he joins us live. Narayan, so any further update from the ICC? Have they taken any measure against Pakistan?
Mark, so far ICC said that they hasn't received any formal just a boycott of the India versus Pakistan match from the PCB, the Pakistan Cricket Board, but their government, the Pakistan government, has their Twitter handle said that they are going to boycott the India versus Pakistan match that will be played in Colombo. So Pakistan already in the press release, the International Cricket Council has said that if Pakistan refuses to play that match, that is not going well with the ICC, and they are going to take stern action against that bold step by the Pakistan. Because if you take a look, ICC don't want to set a wrong precedence for such events. The way Bangladesh first tried to they said that they don't want to play in India because of the security issues. And at that point in time, the independent security agencies came to India for their matches, especially in Eden Garden, and they found that the level of threat was from very mild to low. And in that context, the cricket teams like Australia are visiting Pakistan, where the threat level is very high. So there was a paradoxy in the Bangladesh stance, and because Bangladesh is not playing, so Pakistan is boycotting. I think there is no cricketing logic behind this, because if you take a look, less than 7 days are left for the mega tournament, and at this point time, Pakistan is saying that they are going to boycott that match. So definitely, it is not a cricketing decision. It's not a cricketing logic. So overall, we can say that Pakistan, if they do this thing, definitely they will be isolated in the cricketing world, because we know that the way it's India versus Pakistan match. It's not about two countries. It's all about generating the funds too.
Yes, we leave it there. Thanks very much, Narayan, for joining us and putting that into perspective and setting up our discussion also with Rakesh Rao, senior sports journalist, to give us some perspective also. So, Mr. Rao, I mean, is it unprecedented for the ICC to consider some sort of punitive action against a government directive? They seem to have done that also with Bangladesh. Or should they just be targeting the cricket board or the team?
Well, it's very clear, that ICC hasn't, I mean, they have made it very clear to Pakistan, government as such, that look, this is not going to work. Because just look at the way ICC reacted. It was a Sunday. People expected ICC to, sleep over it and then maybe respond, like in the morning. But that didn't happen. Right late into the night, they said, all right, we have seen that. I mean, they took cognizance of that tweet, which came in the name of the government of Pakistan. They didn't wait for PCB to respond. So that itself shows that, they were ready with it. And the way it has been drafted, of course, it's very professionally done. Every word is, every sentence is very carefully worded. And one place where they say that, listen, you have to face the consequences, or very significant and long-lasting, lasting impact. So that particular phase, it really reflects ICC's mindset on this subject. Because like most of us, even ICC knows what it is doing. And ICC has actually, without going into the details, maybe they've saved it for later.
Right.
The very fact that this entire rigmarole, it started with Bangladesh, requesting ICC to shift its matches. So it was between Bangladesh, the BCB, and the ICC. Today we are talking about Pakistan and ICC, with India still sitting silently there.
Okay, Rakesh, also, Mr. Rao, also, what options does the ICC have now? You've also mentioned that decision has been taken against Bangladesh. Could we see some sort of a similar decision being taken against Pakistan? And are there other teams that can fit in, at this late stage?
No, that won't happen. They won't, because see, they haven't refused to take part in the tournament. There is a participation document which they have to sign. If they had refused to participate, if the refusal had to come from Pakistan, then there would have been sanctions. In the case of Bangladesh, they've been replaced by another team, and they gave a reason that, look, because of security concerns. Pakistan hasn't given a reason. Pakistan just says that we don't want to play. Obviously, the intention is to embarrass co-host India and to make it a little more difficult for them. But I think this is, honestly, if you ask me, it's a mindless decision, because ICC can make life very difficult for Pakistan. They can, not only ensure that, that they don't get any revenue share from the ICC, which comes through the rights which are, which are sold for the,
True. Now, you did mention, Mr. Rao, that this statement has been worded very professionally. So, do you see that the ICC is able to balance politics and sport, as independent commentators will be looking at these two aspects?
Absolutely, because see, you are dealing with a professional setup there, and Pakistan. in all its wisdom, has decided to take on the ICC. It is like an employee taking on your like your employer. It is like you're still on the you are on the rolls of ICC. That is your primary source of income, and you can't take that kind of hit, because if ICC decides, because now what they've done is they've stuck to the protocol. They've given Pakistan another opportunity to reconsider their stand, come to a mutually agreed resolution, as they say. But the point is that what if Pakistan stays stubborn? If they say, no, we are not going to take a U-turn, because taking a U-turn would be like, it'll be very, very humiliating. Now, at this point in time, Pakistan is stuck. ICC has very, very smartly put the ball back in the court of the PCB. Now they're waiting. They won't take any further action till they hear from the PCB.
Mr. Rao, also, what are the economic consequences for Pakistan cricket? They're already suffering. There are very few teams that play in Pakistan because of the situation there. I mean, they've suffered. Their internal cricket doesn't seem to be going on too well. And as a result, I mean, they do produce natural cricketers who are great. But, how long can they go on without any support?
They will be in a soup. I mean, they're already, like they are. Financially, they still don't pay their salaries on time to those who are under contract. Even their payments are getting delayed. But the point is that if the ICC decides on a few counts now, that is one, they will say no revenue share from us. They can also take away teams from their, from their FTP thing. They can say, look, we are putting sanctions. No team will travel. Number three, they can also say that there won't be any participation. We won't allow any NOCs for overseas players to come and play in your PSL. I mean, there are so many things which they can do. Half a dozen things for sure.
Indeed. So it's still an evolving situation. Thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh Rao, for putting that into perspective for us.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
Moving on to our next story, the under-19 win. Spinners Ayush Mhatre and Khilan Patel. They start with the ball as India defeated Pakistan by 58 runs in the under-19 World Cup match in Bulawayo to book a semi-final berth. Now, so if they can play in the under-19s, they can play in the other systems as well. Well, both the bowlers took 3 wickets apiece to bowl Pakistan out for 194 runs and secure a commanding 58-run win. Pakistan struggled throughout their innings, failing to maintain the required pace for a semi-final spot and eventually collapsed under pressure. Under Vedant Trivedi, who anchored India's innings with a determined 68 runs, India reached 252 runs on a challenging pitch. India are now going to face Afghanistan in the second semi-final. This is in Harare on Wednesday. And Delhi Capitals secured a convincing 5-wicket win against the UP Warriors in the final league stage fixture of the Women's Premier League. After being asked to bat first, the UP Warriors were restricted to a modest 122 for 8 in 20 overs. For the Delhi Capitals, Marizan Kapp scalped 3 wickets and Chinel Henry and Sri Charani bagged 2 wickets apiece. Laura Wolfwart and captain Jemima Rodericks helped the Delhi Capitals chase down the target in 18.4 overs. And with this win, the Delhi Capitals advanced to the eliminators, ending the league stage in 3rd place with 6 points. Apart from Delhi, the second place Gujarat and table toppers RCB have qualified for the playoffs of the ongoing event. The second edition of the CISF Vande Mataram Coastal Cyclothon is set to reach Konark as part of its nationwide coastal journey and carrying the theme Surakshit Tat Samrid Bharat. Okay. And this cyclothon, what does it do? It aims to promote coastal security awareness, national unity and community participation. The cyclothon is also part of the commemoration of 150 years of Vande Mataram. Abhishek Mahajan reports.
As the first light of dawn breaks over the Konark Sun Temple, preparations are underway along the route for the smooth movement of cyclists. On the eastern coast leg, of the CISF Vande Mataram Coastal Cyclothon. The nationwide cycling expedition is covering the entire mainland coastline of India, carrying a message of security, unity and public participation.
यहाँ पे एक कल्चर इवेंट हम करवा रहे हैं। उद्देश्य ये रहेगा कि जो उड़ीसा का कल्चर है इस साइक्लोथॉन के माध्यम से जोड़ा जाए कि जितने भी हमारे साइकिलिस्ट आ रहे हैं वो गांव में रुक रहे हैं और रात के समय और रुकने का अगेन जो उद्देश्य है वो ये है कि वो वहाँ पे जाएं, वहाँ के जो बुजुर्ग हैं, वहाँ के युवा हैं, वहाँ की महिलाएं हैं, उनके साथ में वार्तालाप करें, उनसे ज्ञान सीखें, उनकी जानकारी को साझा करें।
Strong youth participation underlines the cyclothon's focus on fitness and discipline. Women cyclists, forming nearly 50% of the contingent, mark a significant step towards gender inclusivity and women empowerment in national service initiatives.
The core inspiration for the cyclothon is to encourage the local people, to encourage them for the security of our coastal region. Apart from that, to encourage the local youth for having the Fit India movement. We are also encouraging the women to participate in the forces, to join in the forces.
Spanning over 6,500 kilometers across 9 coastal states and 2 union territories, the 25-day cyclothon is among the country's most extensive coastal awareness campaigns. Carrying the theme of Secure Coasts, Prosperous India, it aligns with the Prime Minister's vision of Sagar, security and growth for all in the region.
As Cyclothon 2026 approaches, Konark stands prepared not just for an event, but to carry forward a wider message of public participation and coastal security awareness. With cameraman Rakesh Kumar, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Konark for DD India.
Well, let's take a look now at other stories making news in India. And thousands of devotees witnessed the annual float festival at Mariamman Teppakulam temple as the decorated float of goddess Meenakshi and Lord Sundareshwara was taken around the Maya Mandapam, which is in Tamil Nadu. And this event marked the conclusion of the 12-day Thai Pusam festival. The Border Roads Organization of India has shared a video showing 3 snow leopards walking together in the upper reaches of the Himalayas. The clip posted on social media platform X by BRO highlighted the balance between development and nature's conservation. Heavy snowfall turned Manali in Himachal Pradesh into a wonderland on Sunday. The hill town, it was covered in a thick layer of snow, blanketing roads and rooftops. Tourists flocked in large numbers to enjoy the scenic beauty and the magic of winter. The Abu Dhabi dialogue held in Dubai with a focus on reviewing labor reforms and workforce skills. So the member states of the Abu Dhabi dialogue, they discussed improving workforce skills, boosting productivity and strengthening labor mobility governance at the 8th ministerial consultation in Dubai. It was chaired by Oman. The meeting brought together labor ministers, senior officials and international organizations, with the OIC Labour Office joining in as an observer for the first time. The UAE Minister, Dr. Abdul Rahman Al-Abar, he highlighted labour reforms, growth in skilled jobs, women's participation and the use of digital and AI systems. Oman's Labour Minister said that the dialogue strengthened cooperation amid global labour market challenges and changes. The International Monetary Fund, which is the IMF, it has forecast a global headline inflation is going to decline, they say, to 3.8% in 2026 and further to 3.4% in 2027. This is driven by softer demand, lower energy prices and improving supply conditions. So the IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva, she highlighted this in remarks referencing the January 2026 World Economic Outlook update, noting that The global economy's resilience and geopolitical shifts, also trade policy changes, technological advances like AI investment and demographic pressures. And she said that global growth is projected to hold steady at 3.3% in 2026, revised upwards slightly from October 2025 estimates before easing to 3.2% in 2027. And gold prices have extended their decline on Monday, falling sharply by about 1.5% amid the strengthening U.S. dollar as markets assessed U.S. President Donald Trump's nomination of Kevin Warsh as the next Federal Reserve chair. Warsh, a former Fed governor himself with ties to Trump and also Wall Street, favors a similar Fed balance sheet and raises questions about the pace of future interest rate cuts and also potential regime change at the central bank. The firmer dollar, it reduces gold's appeal for non-U.S. currency holders. Also, recent U.S. data showcasing that there has been elevated production prices levels, producer prices in December, partly from import tariffs. And this has suggested that persistent inflation could delay rate reductions. Now, silver has also plunged significantly amid this sell-off. Germany's unemployment rate climbed to its highest level in 12 years last month. It's another sign that Europe's largest economy is now facing significant challenges. And DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu joins us with the latest. Chiponda, what are the latest figures?
Thanks for having me. Well, the latest figures show that Germany's unemployment rose to 6.6% last month. And perhaps the more interesting number is that there are now more than 3 million people in the country who are out of work. The unemployment rate is now at the highest level in a dozen years. According to the Labor Office, Germany's job market has very little momentum, and that is not so unusual at this time of the year. Unemployment tends to rise in January because many fixed-term employment contracts expire at the end of the year, and there are also industries such as construction, agriculture, and tourism which reduce their workforces because they rely on the weather for business. And many companies also put off hiring new employees at the end of the year. But the latest figures are still very much a cause for concern.
Indeed. So you say it is a cause for concern, but how much of a cause of concern is it?
It could be a signal that any hopes of a swift turnaround with the current government are taking much longer to pan out. And that is why probably German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that the rise of unemployed people to more than 3 million is an alarm signal. And he also went on to say that an economic upturn must be this year's central priority. Now, the consensus among many experts here is that the government has done little to jumpstart the country's struggling economy. The government's large fiscal package hasn't had as much of a positive effect as had been expected when it was announced last year. And the only positive economic news is that the economy expanded for the first time last year since 2022, and it is expected to grow slightly this year and 2027.
As music's biggest night returned to Los Angeles, the Grammy Awards delivered historic wins, powerful speeches, and unforgettable performances. The spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, said on Monday that he was grateful for his Grammy after bagging the top music industry award for the best audiobook, narration, and storytelling. Let's look at this report.
Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny made history at the 68th Grammys in Los Angeles, winning Album of the Year for I Should Have Taken More Photos, the first Spanish-language album ever to receive Music Star honor. He also won 2 other awards and used the spotlight to deliver a strong political message against nationwide immigration raids. Rapper Kendrick Lamar led the night with 5 Grammy wins, including Record of the Year for Luther, featuring SZA, and Best Rap Album for GNX. Billie Eilish and Phineas won Song of the Year for Wildflower, while Britain's Olivia Dean was named Best New Artist. Lady Gaga picked up 2 awards, including Best Pop Vocal Album, while Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters won the Best Song Written for Visual Media. The vampire horror film Sinners also claimed 2 soundtrack awards. At the untelevised pre-ceremony, the Dalai Lama won Best Audiobook, Narration and Storytelling Recording, expressing gratitude for his first Grammy, while film director Steven Spielberg won the Best Music Film for Music by John Williams, completing his EGOT. The ceremony featured high-energy performances from Bruno Mars and K-pop singer Rosé, along with Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber and Sabrina Carpenter, along with tributes by Reba McEntire and Lauryn Hill honoring artists who passed away. Host Trevor Noah kept the night lively with his humor. With historic wins, emotional speeches and stand-up performances, the Grammys delivered a night where music and message shared the spotlight. Diptanshu Kashyap for DD India.
Well, the iconic Amrit Udyan, which is at Rashtrapati Bhavan, will open now for the public, and this is from the 3rd of February to the 31st of March this year. Good time to go and visit this beautiful garden. Visitors can explore it 6 days of the week from 10 o'clock in the morning to 6 in the evening, with entry being via mandatory online booking through the official portal. Highlights include stunning tulip beds, also diverse roses, herbal plants as well, and the new babbling brook with cascades, banyan garden featuring reflexology paths, bonsai gardens as well, and seasonal blooms amid lush landscapes. Truly a magnificent sight. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can always contact us. But for those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app, which is available on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin. From all of us here in Delhi, thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.